from Citizen TV, this is JKL with Jeff Koinange.
And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much for joining us on this very last Wednesday in March. We have an explosive show for you today because ODM National Delegates Conference is happening in a couple of days' time, and we're asking, is ODM at the crossroads? There's a lot of simmering tensions inside ODM. What's going to happen in the next 48 to 72 hours? And we're going to have a great guest tonight, aren't we?
The national chairperson.
That's right. Who just happens to be the governor of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga, is in the house. And also, Deputy Party Leader for ODM, Mombasa County Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif, in the house very shortly. What are your thoughts? What are your questions? Start tweeting at Koinange Jeff.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
At Citizen TV. The hashtag is JKLive. JKLive begins right now, tonight.
We thank God today we've been vindicated. Justice has been served. And all the declarations that they have been given, provided by the court, we hope and pray that they'll be met.
Justice at last. A Kisumu court awards 38.6 million shillings to 28 victims of the 2023 Azimio Sufuria demonstration.
How can you be able to identify the person from the footage?
Your Honor, you are able to describe the clothing of the dead?
Yes.
The Rex Masai shooting case resumes as forensic investigators present photos of a man believed to be a police officer in his killing during the 2024 finance bill protests.
This account was not listed among the approved collection accounts by the National Treasury. In this regard, it was used to regularly collect money.
E-citizens funds plunder. Lawmakers raise serious questions over diversion of 6.3 billion shillings from the e-citizen platform into a private account. Bursary funds misuse. Auditor General's report exposes how 722 million meant for NGCDF bursaries across constituencies was misused.
Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. The High Court in Kisumu County has awarded compensation to 28 victims of police brutality who were either killed or injured during the 2023 Okoa Uchumi demonstrations. In a landmark judgment issued Wednesday, Justice Alfred Mabea awarded a total of 38.6 million Kenya shillings in compensation after he found clear violation of the law regarding the right to life as well as security of the person. And as Laura Otieno details, Justice Mabea also invoked the principle of command responsibility, giving the National Police Service a 90-day ultimatum and a time frame to develop regulations governing the use of firearms in maintaining public order.
The quest for justice for 28 victims of police brutality ended on a high note on Wednesday after the Kisumu High Court awarded a 38.6 million shillings package to the victims, 9 of whom are deceased. Justice Alfred Mabea held that police officers shot several petitioners, violating the Constitution, emphasizing that the Bill of Rights must be enjoyed by all citizens. The highest award was of 4.8 million shillings to the 27th petitioner, which includes a 30-year payment for nerve medication for injuries sustained from a gunshot wound. The 9 deceased petitioners, who are represented by their family members, were awarded amounts ranging between 1.4 million shillings and 910,000 shillings, depending on their age, employment status, as well as the period between the assault and the time of death. Mabea, however, said that the award of damages is not meant to enrich the victims, but to compensate such victims for the injuries sustained.
We thank God today we've been vindicated. Justice has been served. And all the declarations that they have been given, provided by the court, We hope and pray that they'll be met.
Wengawaji wapendwa wetu hatutaweza kuwaona, tutabaki tukaona kwa mapicha, lakini tunaamini haki imetendeka kwa siku hii ya leo.
Aipo afanye kazi yake, izidi kufanya hii kazi yake ili kwamba wakati ujao Wakenya wasipate dhuluma ambazo familia ambazo zilipata kama sisi hivi.
Beyond monetary compensation, Justice Mabea directed the National Police Service to develop guidelines on public order management and the use of force and firearms within 90 days. IPOA, on the other hand, was also ordered to work with the National Police Service to conclude investigations and provide case status updates within 90 days of the judgment.
These victims did not think that they will see the day that this will happen, and indeed it is momentous for us. And we hope that this will be a lesson going forward on how to police protest and how to be victim-centered in terms of receiving justice.
Robert Ouko Adongo, Dorcas Akenya Watch, and 27 others had filed the case against the Inspector General of Police, the National Police Service, the Attorney General, and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. The Law Society of Kenya, KNCHR, International Justice Mission, Katiba Institute, and Amnesty International were interested parties. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Photographs and videos of a man believed to be a police official once again dominated proceedings in court during the inquest into the death of Rex Kanyike Masai, who was killed at the height of the demonstrations against the 2024 finance bill. Witness Joshua Mutua, a forensic and crime scene investigator with the Independent Policing and Oversight Authority IPOA, relied on photographs and video footage recorded during the incident to place the official at the scene where Rex Masai was shot dead. Citizen TV's Ben Kirui with the blow-by-blow account of how the cross-examination unfolded.
Although the man was not named, photographs and video evidence presented in court by the 22nd prosecution witness Joshua Mutua, a forensic and crime scene investigator with the Independent Policing Oversight Authority IPOA, placed a figure believed to be a police officer at the scene during the fatal shooting of Rex Kanyike Masai at the height of the 2024 finance bill protests.
Do you wish to produce the report?
In a detailed step-by-step presentation, Mutua submitted 18 photographs and 2 video clips, including CCTV footage, which he said he had carefully analyzed. The images show a man wearing a cape, a blue shirt, and bracelets in the colors of the Kenyan flag, carrying police communication equipment and a riot control baton during the protests.
How can you be able to identify the person from the footage? How are you able to identify the person?
Your Honor, you're able to describe the clothing of the dead?
Yes. The clothing of the day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Vis-a-vis what was recorded elsewhere?
Yes.
In another different period of the day?
Yes.
And if you compare the two scenarios captured by the footage, you're able to confirm indeed that cannot be another person.
CCTV footage from Absa Bank along Mamagina Street, covering 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the day of the shooting, further corroborated the sequence of events presented in court.
Do you see anything on his hand in the CCTV footage?
There's a firearm.
Firearm.
Firing in the direction which the crowd was running.
What about the other hand? Please, you can press play.
It's holding on that tone.
So link that one.
Yes.
However, during cross-examination, defense lawyers challenged the authenticity of the CCTV footage and questioned the evidence presented in court.
We've mentioned quite a lot about the CCTV footage.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you agree with me that you did not participate in the extraction of that footage from the Absa system?
I did not.
You did not participate. So it was only handed to you in a flash disk?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mutua maintained that the individual seen in the photographs is the same person captured in the videos, which show protest scenes and police clearing barricades from the streets. Additional witnesses are expected to take the stand on Thursday.
The above referred man is captured with a gas gunner.
Not once, not twice. An individual believed to be a police officer has surfaced repeatedly during the Rex Masai inquest hearings. Several witnesses have placed him at the scene of the incident during the height of the finance bill protest in 2024. The inquest seeks to establish the circumstances surrounding Masai's death, including whether excessive force was used and who may bear responsibility. Ben Kiroi, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
6 families in the counties of Nakuru and Laikipia are tonight demanding justice after a deadly confrontation between police and Laikipia University students on Monday left 1 student dead and 5 others nursing gunshot wounds. Ian Mtai was shot dead during demonstrations against the university administration. The learners were protesting against alleged failure by the school's administration to promptly respond to a case where another student slipped and fell during a hiking expedition at the Subukia Falls last Friday. 16 police officers were also injured during the deadly demonstrations, as Gatete Njoroge tells us in the following report.
Business along Nyahururu-Nakuru Road was on Monday disrupted for hours. Students from Laikipia University engaged police in running battles as they protested what they claimed is negligence from the administration. This followed an incident last Friday where a student was injured during a hiking trip at Subukia Falls, and efforts to get urgent medical assistance from the university were futile. Students say police officers deployed to quell the chaos used excessive force as they fired live bullets at them. In the deadly confrontation, 19-year-old Ian Mtai, a first-year student pursuing a Bachelor of Education in Science, was shot dead. 5 other students sustained gunshot wounds. On Wednesday, the family of the late Ian were at Nyahururu County Referral Hospital morgue, where the autopsy confirmed he died after being shot.
He had a single gunshot wound to the chest. It was going through the middle of the chest and exiting at the back. And so along that path, it went through the heart. It went through also a major blood vessel, the aorta, and also another one that's also a major blood vessel, the pulmonary artery, and it exited at the back. So there was a lot of internal bleeding.
The family, which traveled from Trans Nzoia County, is asking the government agencies probing the case to ensure they get justice as they mourn a dream cut short too soon.
Pia tunataka shule pia ifuatilie ijue ni nani aliua mwanafunzi huyo na ni kwa nini aliuawa. Kwa sababu hii inaonyesha kuna ulegevu katika usimamizi wa uongozi wa shule.
In the neighboring Nakuru County, Alex Musyoka counts himself lucky after he cheated death. He was among 5 other students who sustained gunshot wounds on the fateful day when police opened fire. Musyoka and 2 others were rushed to Nakuru County Referral Hospital, where they continue to receive treatment.
Piwa risasi kifua, ikatokelezea upande wa nyuma. Sasa naomba tu haki itendeke. Mtoto wangu ni mtoto wa kwanza, ni mtoto wa kiume wa kwanza.
Risasi ilitoboa tu shimo ikaendelea ikaanguka ikubaki ndani. So venye ilifanywa damage, ukipiga x-ray hapa inaonyesha kwamba kuna shimo kubwa, alafu kuna mfupa imevunjika. So ndio maana wakapelekwa theater leo asubuhi waende wamsaidie kule ndani, then waweke chuma.
2 other students who sustained gunshot wounds are admitted at Oljabet Hospital. Police say 16 officers were injured during the confrontation and 2 police vehicles vandalized after protesters turned violent. IPOA has launched investigations into the incident. Following the unrest, Laikipia University was closed indefinitely. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
Members of the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee have raised alarm over how 6.3 billion Kenya shillings was irregularly diverted into a private account without the approval of the government, further raising concern about the security of the platform and plunder and misuse of public resources. The National Treasury's Principal Secretary, Dr. Chris Kipto, has, however, assured the committee that the money has been seized and frozen pending investigations. Emmanuel Toh has that report.
Chris Kipto.
The special audit report by the Auditor General on the government's digital payments platform, popularly known as eCitizen, has lifted the lid on the rot that has dogged the platform in a special audit covering the period from 2014 to 2025. The Auditor General raising concern over massive discrepancies and irregularities in the payment of 6.3 billion shillings, comprising 68.7 million shillings and $48 million from an undisclosed account named PesaFlow.
This account was not listed among the approved collection accounts by the National Treasury. In this regard, it was used to regularly collect money.
Treasury Principal Secretary Dr. Chris Kipto telling the National Assembly Public Accounts Committee that the money had already been seized.
When the matter came to the attention of the National Treasury, a letter was written to Equity Bank requesting the details of the agency accounts and gave instructions to freeze them. The accounts were frozen and the funds in those accounts were withheld. We are accountable to Parliament.
Members further probed how the government ended up paying 127.8 million shillings as part of an out-of-court settlement to Goldrock Limited after the entity initiated legal proceedings contending wrongful termination from its contractual obligations on the eCitizen platform.
So we have
authorized.
The
Attorney General.
Yes. Once we were talking,
are you able to provide evidence?
It can be provided. Yes, we can provide that.
And approval of payment?
Now that is an internal matter from the Cabinet Secretary internally within Treasury.
I am asking you a specific question about the PSP. Was it licensed from 2015 to 2025?
That from 2023. There is a PSP license, so we can check we can go back and check whether there was one and submit to you.
This came as the Auditor General complained of being denied access to security and personal data in the platform.
Thank you, Chair. We did not have access to the eCitizen platform.
Yeah, they did not have access.
So that is, I would want to know who denied, because that is not right.
But you are the accounting officer.
No, I did not. I'm not. How can I deny someone doing constitutional role?
The committee has now invited several entities involved in the operations of the eCitizen platform, including PesaFlow Limited, Olive Tree Media, Webmasters Limited, Electronic Citizen Solutions, Goldrock Limited, and the Attorney General, among other institutions in question. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
You want to tell me something?
The Auditor General has flagged 5 constituencies that drew checks for bursary but never presented the millions of shillings to the beneficiaries, denying needy learners their right to education. Narok West constituency is leading with the highest number of unpresented bursary checks, according to the Auditor General. The Nancy Gathungu Performance Audit Report has also laid bare the casual manner in which some constituencies are handling bursary money, with the audit team flagging favoritism, double allocation, nepotism and fraud. Here is our political affairs reporter, Stephen Leto.
A performance audit report has unmasked a new tendency where constituencies fail to present checks to beneficiaries despite having allocated funds to the kitty. According to the Auditor General, 722.6 million shillings worth of unpresented checks have since disenfranchised learners who depend on the bursary and scholarships from the NGCDF. For the last 5 years, 243.5 billion shillings have been disbursed to constituencies. According to the Auditor General, Narok West Member of Parliament Gabriel Tongoyo is on the spot for the unpresented checks worth 208 18.8 million shillings in his constituency. Kaiti lawmaker Joshua Kimilu has also been flagged by the Auditor General over the 201.6 million shillings of unpresented checks seen by the Auditor General. In Kilgore's constituency, the Auditor General has flagged the fund patron Julius Ole Sunkuli over unpresented checks worth 138 million shillings. Gishugu MP Gishimu Githinji and Ganze Member of Parliament Kazungu Charo closed the list of the top 5 constituencies were on the Auditor General's radar. Auditor General says failure to present the checks to the banks and other financial institutions resulted in stale checks, leaving millions of beneficiaries stranded. The auditors flagged a further 14.2 million shilling stale checks meant for learners. Embakasi Central constituency presented 4.4 million shillings worth of stale checks, while Embakasi South constituency, Mwea, Kasarani and Kibwezi East constituencies also showed unpresented checks that affected beneficiaries. The Auditor General sampled 23 constituencies during the period under review, drawn from Nairobi, Kirinyaga, Makueni, Kilifi, Kisii and Narok counties. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
The Ministry of Energy has warned oil marketing companies against hoarding fuel in anticipation of higher prices expected in next month's Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority review. CS Opiyo Wandayi termed the practice illegal and exploitative, accusing some firms of creating artificial shortages to maximize profits at the expense of Kenyans. He assured the public that the country has sufficient fuel stock, saying there is no cause for alarm. Melita Oletenges has that report.
The current fuel shortage has been blamed on some oil marketers allegedly withholding supply from retail stations. The Cabinet Secretary in charge of Energy and Petroleum, Opiyo Wandayi, has warned those hoarding fuel.
This conduct is commercially opportunistic, contrary to the public interest, and is in direct breach of licensing obligations. So all licensed oil marketing companies are strongly reminded of their legal obligation to maintain continuous supply.
Meanwhile, panic buying has been reported in several fuel stations as motorists rush to beat a potential shortage. However, the CS insists supplies remain stable.
The Kenya Pipeline Company is currently holding in its storage facilities and the pipeline some 102 million liters of petrol, 146 million liters of diesel, and 167 million liters of dual-purpose kerosene.
Some suppliers under the government-to-government fuel import deal have reportedly been affected by the Iran-US war. Despite this, Wandayi says contingency measures are in place to ensure uninterrupted supply.
We are more than confident that our G2G arrangement is robust enough to manage any near-term uncertainties.
Wandayi's remarks come after Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro called on the government to scrap fuel tax introduced in 2023 and 2024 to ease the cost burden on consumers.
Lazima muwajibike wakati ambao muda bado iko. There are only 3 things that the government can do. One is to lower VAT and other excise taxes. The second is to lower levies, which is mostly fuel levy. The third one is to provision fuel subsidy.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Elsewhere, post-mortem exams on the 33 bodies exhumed from mass graves in Kericho failed to take off on account of lack of capacity at the county mortuary. The government chief pathologist, Dr. Richard Njoroge, who is in the county, said the facilities at the mortuary were not adequate. The development comes as the public and civil society organizations call for investigations into the baffling incident that has put the Green County under national spotlight.
The arrival of the government pathologist at the Kericho County Hospital mortuary signaled the start of the next step in unraveling the mystery of the 33 bodies buried in a mass grave in the county cemetery.
So far, we've been able to speak to the government pathologist. He's let us know that they first want to assess the morgue and see whether the morgue has facilities and equipment and capacity to be able to conduct the post-mortem process. They also want to assess what they will begin with.
However, an assessment of the facility by Dr. Richard Njoroge returned a negative verdict. The state of the mortuary and its capacity was not sufficient to conduct the post-mortem exam. The medical examination of the exhumed corpses was also intended to enable identification.
Apart from the bodies that were retrieved, we know there were also limbs that were retrieved. So they'll also be needing to establish whether those limbs belong to the bodies that were kept, that were also found there, or they belong to different people.
The 33 bodies were recovered following the discovery of the mass grave in the county cemetery on Saturday last week. An exhumation exercise carried out by the authorities on Tuesday revealed the contents of the grave as bodies of 25 children and 8 adults. The residents of the county say the deaths of the young ones are a dark shadow over the county.
Wengi ni watoto. Kwa upande hiyo kwa watoto ni uchungu sana. Mtoto ako na haki ya kuishi hata kama bado hajazaliwa. Hii ni a very serious human rights violation yenye hata kwa Mungu haikubaliki. Kwa hivyo tunataka polisi wachukue hatua, hatujaona action.
As they await the start of the medical examinations, civil society organizations that are keeping an eye on the unfolding situation say they will support the government to not only facilitate the postmortems, but also offer psychological support to the families of the deceased, but most importantly, to seek the truth about the bizarre occurrence.
To fast track and the pathologist also to get us and for the public to know what exactly happened and where the people came from. Because as we've already know, it is not likely that the people who were buried there at Makaburini were from this county.
The residents also want local leaders to intervene as the search for the truth continues. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
And former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuja will have to answer to charges of giving false information to a person employed in public service despite obtaining anticipatory bail from the High Court. The Milimani Magistrate Court struck out an application by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations seeking to obtain search warrants against the former Jubilee Party Secretary General. Seth Olale followed the proceedings.
Former Cabinet Secretary Raphael Tuja is not off the hook yet in a case where he faces charges of giving false information to a person employed in public service contrary to the Penal Code. Kibera Law Court's Chief Magistrate Stella Atambo stated that the anticipatory bail issued from the higher court protects against Tuja's arrest and detention by the police, but doesn't stop his prosecution on charges against him by the Director of Public Prosecution.
The bail in place does not stop the subject from taking plea and or from appearing before this court. In fact, to the contrary, if we look at it from the lens of the defense, it is a security for him to attend court.
The Chief Magistrate granted Tuja's defense their request to have the matter regarding his plea taking mentioned after 14 days to enable the former Jubilee Party Secretary General receive comprehensive medical treatment. The court, however, declined to issue further orders urging the police to release the former Cabinet Secretary from custody while receiving treatment, saying the restraining order is a matter for the Superior Court, which issued the anticipatory bail.
But nothing stops my court from proceeding with that next court appearance for purposes of plea. I will not say plea taking, I will say for the purposes of plea, because it is all about the plea on that day.
Mention of the case has been set for the 8th of April 2024 at the Milimani Magistrates Court. An application by the DCI seeking to obtain such warrants against Tuja's house was struck out, with the courts ruling that the request lacked sufficient legal basis and failed to disclose an offence attributable to the individual under investigation. In its analysis, the Magistrates Court held that threshold required to issue a such warrant had not been met. Seth Olale, Citizen TV.
All right.
Plenty ahead, including the orange talk.
Where are the oranges? Do you have them?
We have them.
We're going to get some oranges because today it's all about the NDC that's happening in 48 hours for the Orange Democratic Movement. But it's split down the middle, literally. So, on the bench today, Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, who is also the chairperson of ODM, is in the house, as is Deputy Party Leader for ODM, Abdul Swamad Sharif. They're both on the bench talking about what happened to the orange. What would Baba think? Think about it. And keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff.
At Ayub Abdikadir.
At Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment. In the meantime, coming up.
Reducing newborn deaths. Ministry of Health unveils a 5-year plan aimed at curbing newborn deaths.
It is exactly 35 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live here at Citizen Television. And you're looking at a live photo or live picture of our guests for tonight. ODM in the house. Is ODM at a crossroads? We're going to be speaking to the ODM party chairperson, who also happens to be Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga. That's her on the left there. And also ODM Deputy Party Leader, one of three, Abdul Swamad Sharif. He is Mombasa County Governor 001. They'll be on the bench in a little short while. Stay tuned. In the meantime, Ayub, what you got?
The orange talk will be later on the bench. University lecturer Herman Manyora has been released on a 2 million Kenya shillings personal bond after denying fraud charges over an alleged Nairobi hospital tender deal. Manyora appeared before Senior Principal Magistrate Paul Mutai at the Milimani Law Courts on Wednesday. In the case, he is accused of receiving more than 500,000 Kenya shillings from a complainant who says he promised to help secure a hospital tender. Willie Lusige has that report.
With wrangles continuing to affect the management of Nairobi Hospital, embattled former Nairobi Hospital Board Chairman and University lecturer Herman Manyora has denied fraud charges linked to an alleged tender deal at the hospital.
You obtained Kenyan shillings 516,000.
Manyora was arraigned before Senior Principal Magistrate Paul Mutai at the Milimani Law Courts of allegation that he obtained more than 500,000 shillings from a complainant, promising to secure a tender at the hospital.
This person.
The prosecution told the court that the complainant Josephine Luceno Kavulani paid 516,000 shillings in good faith, believing Manyora could influence the award of tender to her company C4 Construction Limited. When the tender did not materialize, a complaint was lodged triggering the fraud charges.
Not necessary.
Prosecutors say the complainant was induced to part with the money based on the alleged misrepresentation and would have not done so had she known the claims were false.
We therefore humbly request
Manyora pleaded not guilty to the accusations and asserting that he had no role in manipulating hospital tenders.
The accused person is a well-known public figure. He is a professor of literature and English at the University of Nairobi. He is not and cannot possibly be a flight risk.
Manyora's legal team also requested that his case be mentioned on the same date as cases involving other directors of Nairobi Hospital who were arrested last week and released on bond.
There is a series of related criminal charges relating to directors of Nairobi Hospital. The matter was set down for mention on 31st March 2026. Your Honor, it would be my humble plea that as you adjourn, you set this matter down for mention also that day, because these matters are related.
In granting the bond, Magistrate Mutai noted that the accused earlier had been released on personal bond by police and had complied with the conditions.
I have considered the application for bond, that the state is not opposed to that application. Consequently, I will release the accused person on personal bond of Kenya shillings 2 million with 2 contact persons.
The case will now be mentioned on 13th of April. Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Remaining in the courts, and a Nairobi court has quashed charges against popular Kenyan TikTok content creator and businessman Kakan Mayo. Mayo was arrested on the 10th of July 2025, accused of inciting violence against police officers through his content. He spent 2 nights in police custody and was released on 10,000 Kenya shillings cash bail. In her ruling, Principal Magistrate Rose Ndombi stated that the offences as framed in the charge sheet are no longer recognized under the law. Through his lawyers, Mayo has announced that he will move to the High Court to seek damages and compensation.
Since the matter that is before this court, as stated, is founded on a defective and non-existent offence, the court finds as follows: that the charge herein is predicated upon a statutory provision that has been declared unlawful and is therefore void. Therefore, this matter is withdrawn. The charge is withdrawn, and under 87(5), the accused person's property to be released to him forthwith.
And Kenya has become the first country in the world to join a major global program aimed at saving newborn lives. The 5-year Healthy Birth Initiative, worth 11 billion Kenya shillings, will focus on 12 counties responsible for over half of all newborn deaths in the country. As Emily Chebet now reports, despite progress in maternal health, Kenya still loses about 92 newborns every day, a figure health officials say is largely preventable. The initiative will use proven solutions to reduce newborn mortality and help the country move closer to its sustainable development goals.
Director General at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, has announced Kenya's commitment to the Healthy Birth Initiative, funded by JKLive in partnership with the Ministry of Health. Dr. Amoth said the program is meant to reduce the burden of newborn mortality in the country.
6 times as many children die as mothers. So it's really an important issue to really think about our newborns.
Our neonatal mortality rate remains at 21 per 1,000 live births and has been so for the past 15 or so years. And therefore, we need to be able to take a deep reflection to see how we need to do things differently to be able to move the needle towards the SDG targets.
The 5-year program will work in 12 counties of Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Kisumu, Nairobi, Mombasa, Kilifi, Garissa, Nakuru, Kiambu, Kericho and West Pokot, accounting for 50% of all newborn deaths in the country. During the 3rd day of the International Maternal Newborn Health Conference, Nakuru County announced it has set aside 155.5 million Kenya shillings, becoming the first county to roll out the initiative.
These resources will support workforce training, strengthen the capacity of our frontline health workers, and ensure that our facilities are equipped with the essential equipment and commodities needed to care for mothers and newborns, especially those who are small and sick.
The Healthy Baby Initiative comes at the right time, and it provides a platform to align leadership, financing, innovation, and service delivery around a shared goal, ensuring that every baby, regardless of where he is born or she's born, has a fair chance to survive and thrive.
A research presented during the conference showed that babies who are not born in a health facility are at a greater risk, pointing to a breakdown in referral process. Health experts urge focus on arid and semi-arid areas where they bear the heaviest burden of maternal mortality.
WHO has classified Kenya as among the country with the top highest mortality rate. Focusing on the maternal mortality rate, where Beitumal has started a pilot project in Wajir County.
This year we will distribute and expand to all sub-counties for this very important training for the prevention and early detection and prevention, and also the management of postpartum hemorrhage.
The international conference, which brought together over 18,000 delegates from 80 countries, wraps up tomorrow. Organizers hope to secure firm commitments to protect mothers and their babies. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Kenya International Investment Conference kicks off, with deals worth $2 billion expected to be signed.
Business news brought to you by Safaricom Business.
Keep business growing with calling, texting, and SMS. Stay connected with customers and suppliers with Zidisha Plus voice and data. Join Safaricom Business today and power your progress.
Time for business. The fourth edition of the Kenya International Investment Conference 2026 opened earlier on Wednesday with over 20 investment deals expected to be closed. The investments announced by President William Ruto cuts across key sectors such as agriculture, mining, manufacturing, healthcare, ICT, real estate, and energy. Here's Jasmine Wamboi with that report.
The country is positioning itself as a major investment destination with high-value deals set to close at the Kenya International Investment Conference 2026.
For enabling manufacturing.
The bulk of these deals are concentrated in agriculture, manufacturing, mining and real estate, expected to amount to more than $2 billion. Agriculture alone has attracted close to $890 million, targeting value addition in rice, sugar and horticulture, with the potential to create over 27,000 jobs. Manufacturing has drawn interest of about $600 million into areas such as fertilizer production.
At a time of global uncertainty, Kenya offers something increasingly rare: stability, predictability, openness, and world-class opportunities underpinned by both macro and micro economic fundamentals.
In the mining sector, a $350 million rare earth project in Kericho is expected to bring in new mineral value chains and boost export earnings, while real estate projects worth $630 million in Nairobi and Mombasa aim to ease pressure on housing and urban infrastructure.
We're not just talking about numbers. We're talking about real investments.
President Ruto says the government has rolled out a series of investor-friendly reforms, including tax incentives, regulatory changes, and a one-stop investment center to ensure these deals translate into actual projects on the ground. The conference has drawn investors from major global markets, including the US, the UK, China, India, and even the United Arab Emirates.
We need to believe in ourselves, because others believe in us.
The conference runs through March 27, with discussions expected to focus on implementation timelines, deal closures, and sector-specific challenges that could affect delivery of the projects. Jasmine Wamboi, Citizen TV.
Your Excellency, recently...
I&M Bank has posted a net profit of 19.8 billion shillings for the year ending December 2025. A year that the lender saw a steady balance sheet expansion, improving asset quality and aggressive shift toward digital banking. According to the lender's CEO, Kericho, the performance was underpinned by an increase in total income to 60.3 billion Kenya shillings, even as revenue growth moderated slightly, as Jimmy Mbogo now tells us in the following report.
In 2025, I&M Bank saw customer deposits grow by 17% to 484 billion shillings, providing a stable funding base which allowed the lender to advance 306 billion shillings in loans to their customers. Meanwhile, the lender's stock of bad debt fell to 31 billion shillings from 36 billion shillings, resulting in a drop of non-performing loan ratio to 9.8%. This resulted in a net earning of 19.8 billion shillings from a total income of 60.3 billion shillings recorded in 2025.
So if we look at our income statement, we have had strong growth in total operating income. And this is at 19% growth year on year, so to 60.3 billion shillings. This has been driven by an over 30% increase in non-interest income, and this has also been, in turn, driven by the increase in customer numbers at 33%.
Corporate and institutional banking income fell by 12% to post a 17.2 billion shillings contribution to the entire group, while retail banking declined marginally by 2% to post 25.7 billion shillings. However, regionally, the bank continued to maintain strong liquidity and capital buffers across different markets, with capital adequacy ratio standing at 55.3% in Kenya, 41.6% in Rwanda, 28.0% in Tanzania, and 47% in Uganda.
What you're looking at is proportion contribution to profitability. And we have had, especially our treasury business and our non-banking subsidiaries, we did dimension the wealth management business and the bank assurance business, which has grown, which has contributed more powerfully to the growth for 2025. Although there's absolute growth, the proportion, that's the reason why the proportion has come down.
The lender remains cautiously optimistic over its outlook for the year, considering the geopolitical tension that have characterized the first quarter of the year.
This is something we continue to watch carefully. It has elevated, obviously, our risk profile from the connection we have with that corridor. We already see that in the G2G structure that we have, which is predominantly linked to the Middle East. We expect that that is going to translate into macro issues as well.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Farm mechanization and proper land preparation remain critical for boosting agricultural productivity in Kenya. Now, to promote modern plowing techniques and practical farming skills, the Agricultural Society of Kenya hosted the 2026 Nairobi Branch Plowing Contest, an event that brought together farmers, students, and machinery dealers to showcase innovation and practical solutions in land preparation. Our reporter Dennis Otieno tells us more on this week's edition of Smart Farm.
At the expansive Kanyariri farm just outside Nairobi, tractors roar across freshly tilled fields as competitors demonstrate the art and science of land preparation. The ploughing contest, organized by the Agricultural Society of Kenya, is designed to showcase best practices in soil preparation, a critical step in ensuring good crop yields.
So what is looked at in this competition is the quality of ploughing. Ploughing is important in seedbed preparation. Good quality ploughing. Yeah, it's important in seedbed preparation, and good quality ploughing has got a higher rate of seed germination.
Competitors take part in different categories, including moldboard and disc ploughing, seedbed preparation, and tractor operation. There are also challenges involving hand tools, giving both mechanized and small-scale farmers an opportunity to participate.
So what we look at in the competitions are various parameters, opening split, and they also judge the general appearance of the field. The whole idea is to train people, also for people to learn about good quality ploughing. Good quality ploughing involves many things. First of all, the good adjustments of the equipment, proper tractor implement matching. Even when you are ploughing, Also, the speed at which you're moving during plowing all those parameters determine how good the quality of your plowing is. But besides, we also have other competitions, hand digging, like you can see what is around you here.
Live demonstrations of modern farm equipment allow farmers to see how mechanization can reduce labor and improve efficiency on the farm. Organizers say proper plowing techniques are essential in improving soil aeration, water infiltration, and weed control, all key factors in increasing productivity. Farmers attending the event are also able to learn about tractor parts, machinery maintenance, and safe tractor driving. For many young farmers and agricultural students, the contest offers a rare hands-on opportunity to gain practical skills in mechanized farming.
They may not necessarily get it very right when they are doing it, but out of it, the testing, the marking schemes that are used in terms of the depths, in terms of opening up, in terms of straightness, everybody gets out of this place with better skills.
We are bringing in on board the young people so that we encourage them from the young level that agriculture is important through a preparation of land.
Agricultural experts say such initiatives play an important role in promoting modern farming practices as the country pushes to increase food production. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.